Hello there, this is Nick Roach. I'd like to do a follow-on video from one I did last year on Solipsism. In the last video I explained that Solipsism is a philosophical concept the idea being that as one is one's only source of information of what happens is the brain and the senses, which are electrical impulses. One doesn't actually know that anything exists beyond one's own brain, one's own mind. And Solipsism is adopting that idea as a fact. Only what's in my own mind, my own brain, is real. And that creates the entire universe. The whole sensory world is just electrical impulses and nothing exists except my own brain. It's an idea, adopted as fact. It's a belief like any other. And I talk about that because when one describes self-realization and God-realization, where everything is one can often connect with a deep knowledge of being alone, of being that one. And of course it makes sense. We all like the idea, let's say all in the religions, of there being a God, and we worship the God if we do, and we say that God is almighty, God is omnipotent, God is beyond it all, God is everywhere and everything, and that's quite a common thing to teach young children. But if someone says, yes, that's correct, because I've realised it and it's here, pointing at them, they go, oh yes, you're a little bit of it. No, the experience is I am it. I am God. And suddenly that becomes blasphemy, but one can say I am God in the same way the chair is God. And they go, oh yeah, that's okay then, as long as you're not saying you're God. So no, but I am. Because everything is one. Excuse me, I have my feet on the chair. Everything is one. The mind divides it up into different things. And we can say, that's God, that's God, that's God, that's God, that's God. Yes, it's all God, nice and fluffy. But go into that, the knowledge of what's looking out of the eyes, I am it. There is no other. There's only this. And that's God realization. And when one connects with that fairly early on in their journey, it can be terrifying. I know it was for me. I sat for 3 days in my pyjamas, a dressing gown, staring at the 4 walls. No telly on, just sit there on the sofa. What's the point of getting dressed if nothing's real, if it's all a dream and it's all one God and I'm it? Why do anything? So I get that. And I wrote to my teacher at the time about it, and he confirmed the insight. And it was difficult for me. And that was when I was in my early 20s, so over 20 years ago now. And the experience since then was of that deepening, fully realising, becoming that knowledge, becoming the truth, becoming the essence of all that is. And being that. Really being that. Being that truth of being this, which is all there is. Sip my coffee, excuse me. I'm pausing there because there have been some changes since. Quite amazing changes. Since I did that video early part of last year, I think it was, it's 2020 now. Because that video, that knowledge, that experience has been the case for over 20 years. What could be beyond that? But something else has been made known to me recently, since I did the video last May, or the last video that I made last May. And in hindsight, it all makes perfect sense, and yet at the time, I couldn't have understood it, I don't think. But here I am anyway, going to describe to you what's been shown to me. So, you might have heard it said that this is all consciousness. There's nothing else here but pure energy, which is the energy of consciousness. This is all consciousness. Everything is a manifestation in consciousness. You might have heard this before. I hope so, otherwise the rest might not make sense. Think of it as a giant mind, universal mind, cosmic consciousness, you might have heard that. Everything is energetic, pure consciousness, creating and manifesting within itself. Now, what was made known to me in various different places and kept coming up, and to give me the idea and get used to it and feeling into it, and then saying, yes, of course, this is the way, it has to be. I just couldn't say it before. Everything is consciousness. Everything is conscious. Because everything is consciousness. Now, it's very simple from the perspective of being an individual man or woman in a physical body to first see I am separate. Everything is separate from me. I'm an individual. And I look around at the people and I understand there are 7 billion people. Then there's all the animals, all the species. And then there's the people who are passed over, and some people say they've got souls, and so you've got all of them, billions and billions of billions who aren't alive now. And if the animals have souls, you've got the billions and billions of billions of them who aren't here right now, who aren't alive. And my word, one of many, many trillions and trillions. Wow. And then one begins to, as I've described, connect with the knowledge that everything is one. Now, even though everything is consciousness and everything is conscious, the only bit of that consciousness that one can connect with is the point of consciousness that one is. And this is where we're getting to the amazing point. Everything is consciousness, and every point within that consciousness is conscious of itself in its relative location to anything around it, if there are other things around it, let's say. But it only is conscious of itself. It's conscious of its own being, its own sense. It isn't conscious of the point of consciousness next to it. It's conscious of itself. So we have here consciousness. We can use the term God if we like, but consciousness is one mass. To give it a description, but it's beyond all shape and size, because it's energetically beyond substance, but one mass of consciousness where every single point in that is conscious of itself and of itself alone. And being conscious of itself as consciousness, it knows it is the whole. It is everything. it is all that is, but it's experiencing it from its particular point as consciousness. So what we have is the individual man or woman. I'm doing that because I've just done the video about the Russian dolls, and it was a little one on the end. But the individual man or woman, the person, connects with its own essence, itself as a point of consciousness, and it goes, oh my God, none of this is here. I am everything. I am alone. I am the point, the single point of consciousness. There is only one consciousness. There's a physical world here, and there's consciousness. And there's only one consciousness appearing as all of this, and I am consciousness, so I am alone. And yet the point of consciousness next to it, let's say, will be saying the same thing. I'm alone. It's almost like the Spartacus movie. I'm Spartacus. No, I'm Spartacus. No, I'm Spartacus. Each one of these points is saying, I'm alone. When it's in the physical body. Because it's appearing through the sensory world, the eyes, the ears, the sense of touch and feeling, experiencing, I'm in this body with all these billions of people and all these objects, but it's all consciousness. So I am alone. But this later stage is quite amazing, because a bit like I was describing with the Russian dolls, with the levels of enlightenment, eventually the last stage includes and incorporates all the others. We come from being an individual with billions of others to only being the only one that is everything. And then we have this, where sure it's all consciousness, and that's all there is, and consciousness is alone, and yet consciousness consists of infinite points of consciousness, each aware of itself as consciousness. And therefore that could be described as we, the WE. No longer is it I. Beyond the physical is not I, it's we. We are consciousness. But this is not the we are consciousness in relation to me, you, all the people, we're consciousness. It's everything, from the body, from the physical body, to the chair, to the tables, to the ceiling, to the air molecules. Everything is consciousness. Every point. From a human perspective, one will say, yeah, but you mean the people are still there, right? Well, they're all consciousness. And yes, the bit of consciousness looking out the individual person's eyes, point of consciousness is, one could say, well, it's consciousness in that position playing that role of that person, just as you, I, am playing the role of this person as this point of consciousness. And that chair over there, or this one, is consciousness playing the role of a chair. Because if it didn't have an intelligence, a consciousness, I wouldn't be able to sit on it because it wouldn't exist. Everything is consciousness. So everything within it has to be conscious. I wanted to say this because it's, in a way, it's far removed from what I've said before and what I've experienced before. And in some ways there's a bit of a contradiction in what I said before as well. and in other ways not, depending on how one phrases it, but the experience is almost a contradiction, because the knowledge was, I am alone. I am God, the pure consciousness. As you are, it's only realising that. I'm not different from you. So one realises, I am consciousness, I am God, I am all that is, I am everything, I am alone. I am energetically everything that exists. I'm the universe. And I'm beyond the universe. And I'm everything in it. And I'm alone, I'm everything. But then one realises we are alone, because consciousness doesn't just have one singular point looking out of one's eyes. I am consciousness, the assumption is, in this body, and everything is my dream, and I'm alone. The assumption is, because I can't know that there's consciousness in the chair, I assume it isn't conscious. The assumption is the consciousness only appears in one's own eyes, and therefore there is nothing else, there is no one else, there's only this consciousness that I am. But actually it's vast, beyond all space and time, clearly. So I'm addressing and speaking to really the fear of being alone here. I'm sure I'll say more about it in the future, but been reading, exploring a lot. Of information where people have connected with the source. And they described it as being like a family. Family where we're all together, we're all one, we're all family, we're just so close, it's just feeling loved and being loved and loving. Because every point of it is consciousness, conscious of itself, and then the others, because it's outside of a body, not limited by the dense vibration of the physical body. So it's all pure consciousness interacting with itself. It's only when it's in a body, the consciousness, the identity first identifies with being the physical body. I'm this, I'm one of 7 billion, and more. And then, oh, I'm not, no, I'm consciousness. Oh my God, I'm alone. I'm alone because there are no others. There's only one, it's only consciousness. How can there be others? When it's all consciousness and I am it, I'm alone. And it's shocking. And what we have here is the pure consciousness being experienced whilst in a physical dense body. So we have the two opposites. I'm one of many, 7 billion. No, I'm not. I'm the only one here. I'm alone. And actually when one gets beyond the physical environment, the two merge again. Yes, there's only one, but that one is one of an infinite number. Pure consciousness, all experiencing itself, all at the same time. So I'm not one of 7 billion, I'm one of limitless. Everything is consciousness. Every point is conscious. So for those people who struggle with the insight, the knowledge they've been given of everything being one, and I've had some messages on YouTube from people on the Solipsism video I did last time, and someone messaged me privately struggling with this. I'm perhaps trying to give you more information that my teacher didn't give me at that time. Didn't at all. Maybe he didn't know, because this has only just come to me, and I had the knowledge 20 years ago, so it's only just been given to me. Had he said to me when I wrote to him asking if it's true, there's one dream, one dreamer, and he replied, yes, Nick, eventually the need for the dream has been satisfied and the dreamer wakes up. Keep going. At this stage the reply could have been along the lines of, you experience it as being the one dream, the one dreamer, that is correct. But it goes far beyond that. This is consciousness. The dreamer is not just a single dreamer of one point. The whole environment is dreaming itself. The dream itself is alive. So one is alone compared with being in a body. One realizes the conscious energy behind it is alone. But as consciousness, one is not alone. Because it's all conscious. Every point. And it's like a massive family. So I hope this helps some people. As usual, feel free to email, message either beneath the video or in person. I'll help if I can. It's quite a big insight. It can be terrifying for people, and I understand that. But it's only terrifying for the individual, the thinking, lower emotional self that wants to be separate, hanging on to its sense of identity. I am personal. I'm a person. I've got my likes and dislikes, beliefs, opinions. And I've got all my family and friends around me, and this is all. My identity is the physical world. And then you connect with the being behind the physical world, which is your own sense, which is consciousness, and it's, oh my God, none of it's real. I'm alone here. But the consciousness, it's only alone when the consciousness is experienced in the physical body it's connected with. That the physical mind touches on the consciousness, the point, and goes, oh my God, it's everything, I'm alone. But if you, out of the physical body, in the consciousness, the experience is no longer of being alone. It's of everything being one, but you're not alone anymore. Every point is conscious.